Welcome back to today's second stimulus check update and stimulus news video. Today I have both good news and bad news regarding the next stimulus proposal in today's stimulus video. So I want to address that. I also have some help for all of you collecting Social Security and need some additional help. You want to stick around for that. Also have some big news regarding a potential $3,000 hazard pay, so make sure you watch till the end of this video so I can keep you updated on what's going on there. Now, here's what you need to understand. The good news, a new stimulus proposal will be coming out next week and it will pass through the Senate with at least 51 votes. Also, the bad news is this bill will only have what these 51 people require to be inside the bill in order for it to pass. And I'm going to address this in just a minute because I know it's very confusing. You're probably thinking, what? What does that mean? Well, I'm going to address that in just a second. Also, the second stimulus check is currently being held up by roughly $700 billion for state and local governments. And lastly, today is Thursday, September 3rd. Hopefully you're having a wonderful day. But let's jump into this stimulus update. Now, if you can do me a favor, if you appreciate the fact that I spend hours and hours of my time keeping you updated on everything going on with the next stimulus check, the new stimulus packages and proposals, any stimulus news, can you do me a favor and hit that like button? It just shows that yes, you appreciate me spending hours and hours of my time doing my own research so that you can stay updated and without having to do any of the research. So if you can, again, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. Now, before I jump into the second stimulus check update, I want to fill you in on what's going on with this new stimulus proposal. There will be a new stimulus proposal that will be revealed by Republicans sometime next week. Many people predict it's going to happen on Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, either the 8th or the 9th of September. And this bill, this proposal, will be anywhere between $500 and $700 billion. Now, what is in this bill? Well, I addressed this in yesterday's video, so if you didn't get a chance to go and watch that, I will put the link. I actually did 2 videos yesterday. One of those, I included a way to make money online at the end of it. So I'll put both of those links down in the description box below. There'll be link 1 and link 2. So make sure you go and check that out. However, and again, I address that and I explain what the rumors are for this bill. However, based on reports late last night, these reports indicate that what is in the bill is actually not important. And as of late last night, okay, there was nothing that was set in stone. Some Republicans were not on board with what was in the current version of the proposal, so it has to be reworked. That was what happened late last night. But let me explain what I mean by it doesn't matter what is in this proposal. According to these multiple reports late last night, this stimulus proposal its only goal is to get 51 out of the 53 Republicans behind it. So it doesn't matter what is in it as long as the 51 Republicans agree on it and support what's in it. The reason for this is because there are a few seats. There's like 3 to 4 seats, Republican held seats within the Senate, that the Republican currently occupying that seat shows vulnerability for their re-election. And now what you need to understand is Democrats currently hold 45 seats. Independents hold 2, but they side with Democrats, and Republicans hold 53 seats. So it's technically 47 on the Democrat side to 53 on the Republican side. That's the way it's split up. And if 4 seats from the Republican side were to move and now would be a Democrat that holds that seat, it would be 51 to 49. And so then Democrats would have majority over the Senate, after this election. So they would actually hold the majority in the House and in the Senate. So that could be big. And that is one of the reasons why Republicans are fighting and pushing for this new stimulus proposal, even though many predict it will never pass through the House. So let me give you an example. This stimulus proposal, let's say it's $700 billion. At $700 billion, Nancy Pelosi has stated it's not enough to meet the needs of the American people. It will not pass through the House. Democrats will not vote on this. Now, if this bill is only $250 billion, it again will not pass through the House. However, it's more likely that they can get the Republicans behind it and at least get 51 votes that will pass it through the Senate. And that's the only goal as of right now, is to get some type of stimulus package passed so that these senators that are in a vulnerable situation where they could lose their re-election, the only goal right now is to give them something to go and tell their constituents to try to get them to re-elect them. That's their only goal. It's just a political game right now. There's really no point to this new stimulus proposal. Now, I do think it will move things along. However, it might make Democrats more mad. And who knows if they're going to come back and say, no, we don't want to negotiate. You need to come up all the way to $2.2 trillion, which is essentially what Nancy Pelosi is currently doing. So what does all of this mean regarding the second stimulus check? And I get responses, I get comments every single day saying, the second stimulus check is not coming. I read this article on Forbes. I read this thing on CNBC. I read this thing on CNN, on Yahoo Finance. Second stimulus check is not coming. As of right now, it's true. A second stimulus check is not coming. However, that's not necessarily the truth as far as, however we go into the negotiations coming up probably next week. So as of right now, the consensus is a second stimulus check is roughly 80% likely, but only if there is a stimulus package passed. The stimulus package is currently around 50% that it would even pass. And this is because Nancy Pelosi and the Trump administration can't see eye to eye on the overall figure and the legislations within the bill. That's the reason why it's roughly about 50% likely. Some people believe it will not pass. There will be no additional stimulus package, which means there's no second stimulus check. That's the only reason why I believe there would be no stimulus check, is if there's no additional stimulus package. If there is a stimulus package, current estimates have it at about 80% likely that a stimulus check will be in it. If it's the Democrats that get their way, a stimulus check will be in it. If Republicans get their way, there's going to be a lot of people upset because there's going to be very little inside the stimulus bill. Now, here's what I want you to understand. Because Steve Mnuchin said yesterday that the Trump administration will go as high as $1.5 trillion. He said President Trump is willing to sign a bill for 1.3. However, he also stated they can go as high as 1.5. So that leaves them roughly $700 billion away. Pelosi stated Democrats will never pass a bill under $2 trillion, and Pelosi will not drop it below 2.2. So you got Nancy Pelosi, who says 2.2, and then she also says, but Democrats will never pass something below 2. So I don't know which number to really believe. However, she says 2.2, so we're going to stick with 2.2. Currently, both parties, like I already stated, are roughly $700 billion apart. That's a lot of money. That's a big spread. However, this division is mainly from $900 billion that Nancy Pelosi has earmarked for state and local governments. Mark Meadows said the other day that Nancy Pelosi has come down on her original proposal, which is great. She shows signs of willing to negotiate. However, she will only negotiate the other pieces of legislation. The state and local government funding has remained at $900 billion. Also, the Trump administration, Mark Meadows, Steve Mnuchin, Mitch McConnell, are willing and able to give $150 billion to state and local governments. Now, I read a report saying yesterday saying that they will go as high as $300 billion. However, that is still not anywhere near the $900 billion that Nancy Pelosi wants. And so that is one of the biggest things that is holding up the rest of the stimulus negotiations. Now, here's what you need to know going on this week, some important information. On Friday, we are going to see the August jobs report. And this should give us a good indication of what is going to happen because of what has happened around us. Also, this should be a good report for Congress to read before the Senate comes back to Capitol Hill on Tuesday. And then when the House comes back on September 14th, hopefully this information is sunk in. Nancy Pelosi is talking about maybe, Mark Meadows, Steve Mnuchin, everybody else, President Trump, they all get through to Nancy Pelosi. We need to pass something now. I understand she wants 2.2 trillion. Do the American people need 2.2 trillion? They need more than that. There needs to be more money sent out to the American people. However, anything right now is better than nothing. Even $1 trillion, 1.5, 2 trillion, 2.2 trillion. It is better than nothing. So here's what I want you to know. Right now, the second stimulus check, more enhanced unemployment, and the PPP funding could all be riding on the report that comes out on Friday. So on Friday, tomorrow, we should have some more information for you. I'm planning to do at least 1, 2, maybe 3 videos just tomorrow alone, because I know there's going to be so much information and I don't want to create one long video, a 30, 40-minute long video that just keeps you bogged down. It's information overload and doesn't actually give you all the updates in a nice, orderly fashion. So I might do maybe 2 or 3 videos tomorrow alone. Now, let's address the eviction extension or the eviction ban based on the CDC. The Trump administration is using the CDC to stop evictions. I addressed this yesterday and I mentioned how this worked. Any individual that makes less than $99,000 per year will get this eviction ban extension throughout the end of this year. Any couple, 2 people, man, woman, 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 doesn't matter. They get up to $198,000 per year or less. As long as they make under that income, then they are protected. But here's what you need to know. The approval of this by the CDC means all landlords cannot evict tenants due to non-payment. But this doesn't protect evictions due to other reasons. So there are loopholes in this. For instance, noise complaints can void your lease. Drug-related issues can void your lease. Property damage, you can be evicted. The expiration of a lease, they have the right to rent to somebody else, to lease to another party. Also, a lease violation. This is the biggest one. This is one that you need to be aware of because inside your lease, there will be things you can and can't do. If you did not specify to your landlord that you have a pet, and you do have a pet, whether it's a Bengal tiger or a little kitty cat or a goldfish, doesn't matter. If you have a pet, you need to specify this to your landlord because an unauthorized pet would be a lease violation if the property does not allow any pets. So this loophole right here does give landlords the potential to evict their tenants, meaning that you will not be immune from eviction if you do not comply. Also, I just want to put this out there because I know a lot of people are worried, will they be evicted if they haven't paid their back rent? If you are doing everything you can to try to pay, you have seen you've fallen on hard times like many people have during this pandemic, and you're not doing anything illegal and you're following the lease, you should be perfectly fine. But I just want to put this out there because the last thing I want to see is any person getting evicted during this pandemic. All right, so I know one of the things that many people come here for is the hazard pay. And I want to address this. There is more hazard pay in the works. I look every single day, probably twice a day. I look and I Google and I look at all the news. Is there new hazard pay popping up? What's going on around the country? And who could potentially qualify for it? Well, recently, I want to read this because this is very interesting and this would affect a couple family members of mine. So this is one of the reasons why I did this. But recently, the United Food and Commercial Workers International Union, that was a mouthful, rolled out a campaign to restore hazard pay for grocery store employees on the front lines. Let me explain. This is not a proposal, this is not a bill, this is not coming from a senator or any member of Congress. This is coming from the United Food and Commercial Workers International Union. This is just an online and offline campaign. And this campaign the goal is to get the attention of the public and to draw actions from the companies like Albertsons, Whole Foods, Walmart, and even Kroger, right? The goal here is just to get these larger companies, these larger grocery store chains, to restore hazard pay or pandemic pay, whatever you want to call it, that they originally had in place when this pandemic first started. Since this pandemic has gone on for so long, many companies like Walmart, Albertsons, Kroger, Whole Foods, even places like Starbucks, who were paying a pandemic pay or hazard pay or a little hourly boost, has since stopped that. And that's what this campaign is really trying to do, is get it to come back. Now, this campaign will most likely work and get companies to restore this benefit. However, it could take some time before this actually happens. If you are a grocery store employee or you know somebody that is one, then just keep working, try to stay safe, and understand that the UFCW is fighting for you on this instance. So that is some good news. Now, in addition to this campaign, there is a possible teacher strike in Detroit that is sparking a potential deal. The Detroit School District is not paying teachers hazard pay, even though they offer in-person learning to a handful of students. That's a big deal. In Detroit, they gave parents the option to do in-person or virtual learning. However, they did not give the teachers the option to do in-person teaching or virtual teaching. And this is what is being said, is that if the parents got an option, the teachers should have got an option as well, which they didn't. So, as of right now, the teachers are threatening to go on strike if they don't receive some form of hazard pay for putting themselves in danger in order to keep educating our youth. I think that's a valid point. It's a valid reason, right? What do you think? Let me know down in the comments section below. Now, it is because of this that this deal is said to be in the works, which could pay teachers about $750 a month from September to December, which would come out to $3,000 in hazard pay from those 4 months. That's an incredible gesture, as long as the Detroit School District actually does this. But again, we'll have to see what happens. This story is just unfolding, but as more stuff happens, we get more updates, I will always let you know. Now, I understand you may not live in Detroit, you may not be a school teacher, that's fine. But as more teachers see what is happening over across the country, they're gonna be like, we should do the exact same thing. If we go on strike, our school district is gonna have to pay for us, gonna have to give us some hazard pay, so maybe we should do that. Remember a couple weeks ago, or maybe like a week ago, I mentioned how some sanitation workers went on strike. A day after they went on strike, they got hazard pay approved. So going on strike will actually work in many instances. Now, I'm not saying go do it. I'm not saying organize a sit-in or a strike or anything like that. All I'm saying is it can work if done correctly. Now, there is more help for people on Social Security. I do have a few family members that do collect Social Security. So like I always do, like I help you guys, I help them as well. Well, this is what I came up with. This is what I found. That is because of this, and this is one of the reasons why I looked into it, to find what kinds of benefits are available for people on Social Security. And these are two things that you can get while still on Social Security. First one is a rental assistance. It's very easy to qualify. Now, you think of Social Security and you think, okay, someone's on Social Security, they're probably living in an elderly home, right? Some retirement complex. That's not necessarily the case. Not everybody that collects Social Security is living in a retirement home. That's not the way it works. For example, my grandma, she passed away right now. She passed away, I think, like 10 years ago. But when she was alive, she lived in an apartment or a trailer park, but it was for only people that were 65 and older. So she lived there and she would pay rent. So if she were to, again, when you're on Social Security, your income doesn't drop. However, in most instances, most counties have it where if your income has either dropped or expenses have been exceeded, that is where you can qualify for rental assistance. And that's essentially what you could do here. It's very easy to qualify, so just look. Go to google.com, type in rental assistance in your city. Let's say you live in Seattle, Washington, right? And type in rental assistance Seattle, or rental assistance King County, or rental assistance Washington State. And I bet you will find that your city, your county, or your state does provide some form of rental assistance that you can apply for. Also, food assistance. Did you know that even though you're on Social Security, you can still qualify for SNAP benefits? This is a pretty cool program. I really like it. It's helped out a lot of people. It's helped out millions and millions of families and kept, the families, the kids, and everybody fed, which is essential, right? It's what you need to stay healthy. Well, food assistance is available. It's very easy to qualify for. All you gotta do, type in your city, your county, or your state, and type in food assistance, or just type in SNAP, and then type in, let's say, Washington State. Let's say you're from Florida. Type in SNAP benefits, Florida, and you can find everything you need to go and qualify and apply for SNAP benefits, even though you do collect Social Security. Now, most seniors, most people on Social Security don't realize they can qualify for these simply because they think that I'm getting Social Security, so I probably wouldn't qualify. I'm getting a federal benefit. Well, it's a benefit that you paid into, right? So it's not something that's really funded by the federal government. This is something that they've collected from you throughout the years. Now, what you need to understand is both of these, rental assistance and food assistance, go off of your income. If your income doesn't change, if your income stay the same, but expenses have gone up, you will probably qualify. Now, here's some other news that I want to bring to your attention. The IRS has stated that over 1 million people in Florida have yet to receive their stimulus checks because they fall into the category of low-income earners who would not need to file a tax return. And if these people did not go to the IRS website before March, or before May, whenever it was, I think May or March, one of those months. If they didn't do that, go to the IRS website and click on the non-filer tool, they would not be getting a stimulus check. Also, many people across the country who the IRS didn't have banking information for were sent a debit card or check by mail. And as of last week, the IRS stated that roughly 300,000 people have yet to activate their cards or deposit their checks, meaning those envelopes were probably just thrown away. So roughly 300,000 people threw away a $1,200 or more stimulus check. So if you didn't get your full stimulus, or you didn't get a stimulus check at all, maybe you didn't get some for your spouse or a dependent, what you need to do, the IRS stated you have until October 15th to go to the IRS website. Go to irs.gov and go and click on the Get My Payment. When you do that, you will then see, after you put in a little bit of information, you will then see either the IRS has sent you a check or sent you a direct deposit or something. And if you didn't receive that, then you need to go and contact the IRS and say, hey, I didn't get it, or this is what happened. But if the IRS said, or there's no information on that website for you, you need to call the IRS's phone number, call them earlier in the morning, so that you can talk to a representative and figure out where your check is and why they show no information of a check being sent to you. Again, you have until October 15th. If you don't go and get it done by October 15th, then you can still get a stimulus check. However, you have to wait until you file your federal tax return for 2020, which will be sometime in 2021. So let's address the COVID-19 news. First off, what you need to know is that there has been an increase in the past 2 weeks of children who have been positively affected. Okay? There has been an increase of roughly 17% of cases among children. This is most likely due to schools reopening, but the good news here is that 17% is fairly good. And I say this because many schools, yes, some schools do in-person learning, but a lot of schools around the country are doing virtual learning. And because of that, this number could have been much higher. So 17% is actually not bad. Also, there are widespread tests being somewhat available. This is going to be happening very soon. They will be hitting the markets very soon, probably within this month. And because that could see the economy turn back to normal very quickly. There could be widespread testing, which would be much faster, and this is seen as much quicker than previously expected. Also, President Trump is pushing for more vaccine administration sites by November 1st. I can tell you right now, if a new vaccine site opens up somewhere in my town, I would not be the first one there to take it. That is just my perspective. That's just the way I feel. I want to see everyone else. Obviously, I don't want anyone to get hurt or infected, but I don't want to be the test dummy. I don't want to be the guinea pig of a new vaccine. That's just my take on it. But again, let me know what you think. Are you going to rush out to any vaccine administration site and get the vaccine? If you are, let me know. Let me know down in the comment section below. How do you feel? Will you be one of the first ones in line, or are you going to wait and see how everybody else does first? All right, guys, there you have it. That is your second stimulus check update and stimulus news video for Thursday, September 3rd. So if you have any questions regarding stimulus, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. Do me a favor again, if you are appreciative of me spending hours and hours of my time away from my family and my loved ones to give you, okay, you are another one of my loved ones. I absolutely love you guys. That's one of the reasons why I continue to do more and more videos on stimulus related matters and to teach you how you can make money online. So if you appreciate that, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you guys on the next one.